What's up, everybody? Chad here. Less than a month to go and I will be hopping on a plane back to the Philippines, baby. I cannot wait. I was just there. If you're new to the channel, I traveled around for 8 months, and in this video I am going to break down my monthly expenses. What did I pay from month to month, and what did I do from month to month to give you a sense of what it might cost you to travel the way that I did over those 8 months, and give you guys some inspiration and some understanding of what it's going to cost you, so you guys can plan, prepare, and get your booties over there, because it's amazing in the Philippines. All right, let's get into it. All right, guys, here we go. So keep in mind with this breakdown, the only consistent monthly expense that I had for this entire trip was about $85 a month for travel insurance. The rest of it fluctuated from month to month depending on what I was doing. Also keep in mind that this breakdown includes unlimited use of texting and data with a Philippine SIM card. I did not keep track of how much I spent on that. It was just sporadic. I would run out of data. I would load it up. I use my phone basically as if I had an unlimited plan. So when you get the numbers from month to month in the final breakdown, just assume it includes unlimited use of your cell phone. All right, so my 8-month trip in the Philippines started about a week into the month of October of 2022. Started in Cebu City, and I stayed at a place called Avita Towers in IT Park, pretty much known as one of the nicer areas of Cebu City. The location of Avita Towers is excellent, walking distance to everything. It's got nice amenities, it's got the pool, it's got the running track, and the unit that I stayed in was a decent little studio. It had a kitchen, it had everything included as far as internet, utilities, etc. And I paid for about 3.5 weeks, I think, all up front, so I got a bit of a discount for that. And it cost me about $22 a night. Right out of the gates in the city, I was just enjoying everything. I was eating out for every meal. I was hanging out at coffee shops, drinking cappuccinos. I did a little bit of shopping at the malls, a little bit of clothes. I was getting frequent massages. I got a pedicure, a haircut. I was taking taxis everywhere. I did some touristy things too. I went up to Surau Garden, basically doing whatever I felt like doing, just enjoying my time, not looking at my budget or anything like that. Also included in the month of October were 2 separate trips to Bohol where I took the ferry out and I met with Cybele. The first trip we went to Anda and we stayed at a nice Airbnb right on the water. It was about $50 a night, and we just enjoyed exploring and eating and things like that. The second time I came back towards the end of the month, we stayed in Panglao, Bohol at a place for about $40 a night, and we enjoyed the beach life, eating good food. And then I came back to Cebu City, and that pretty much wrapped up the month of October, which was about 3 weeks at a grand total of $1,900 US. But spending at that rate for a full month would have brought the monthly expense to $2,533. All right, now the month of November was completely different. I had more of a focus on budgeting. I ended up making my way up to Moalboal, and I booked a room at a place called Beyond Island Hotel. Really nice place. Wasn't a huge room, but very comfortable king-size bed. Had a kitchenette, very clean. Loved the place. The owners were great. Has the pickleball, stuff like that. It was about $500 for the month. That included everything. Now, I think the price has gone up a little bit since then, but it gives you an idea of what you would pay at a monthly rate at a pretty decent place. Now this month I was focused on budget. Like I said, I was going to the market. I was doing a little bit of cooking. I was still going out and eating, but I was focused more on like Filipino food, where you can grab a meal for $3, things like that. I wasn't doing like tours or really any crazy spending. I wasn't really getting those massages or the pedicures or all that stuff I was spoiling myself with in October. So I was really just hunkered down, doing editing, living more of a simple life. I'd go snorkeling almost every day, but the snorkeling equipment was included at Beyond Island Hotel. So pretty simple budget. The only thing that came up was at the 1 month mark, there's a visa renewal and it's about $85. So, that was factored in as well. It came way down in November and the total was $932 US. All right, so now the month of December was totally different. Definitely the expenses went up, but the fun went up as well. I was still in Moalboal. I was staying at Beyond Island. I had extended at $17 a night. Now, right off the bat though in December, there was a 6-month visa extension plus the ACR card, which came to around $200 or a little bit more than that. Now, I had just met Rosie, and we were pretty active from day to day, so definitely doing a lot of things, hitting the town, grabbing meals, a little bit of nightlife, grabbing drinks, things like that. Although there still was a really good focus on budgeting for food, so we would find really good Filipino food that didn't cost that much, or go to the market and get fresh fish and cook it up. So that was a really, really good way to keep the budget down as far as food goes, because that's obviously one of your biggest expenses. Now, the day-to-day activities were pretty action-packed. We were snorkeling all the time. We went zip lining. We went canyoneering, waterfall chasing, swam with the whale sharks. And right at the end of the month, we ferried over to Dumaguete for a couple of nights and then celebrated the holidays in Siquijor for 6 nights, staying at a place called Tagbalayan Lodge. It was only $16 a night. And to be honest, it's one of my favorite places that I stayed at in the Philippines. So it goes to show that you can really find a pretty good budget for accommodation and for food and still have an amazing experience and not cut any corners on having fun, which was the main focus for me on this trip. And in the end, the total amount was $1,923. In January, the adventures slowed right down. The weather turned to rain, and most of the time was spent between Cebu City and Manila. In Cebu, booked a room at Avita Towers in IT Park for $25 a night, and about halfway through the month, booked a couple of flights to head up to Manila and stayed in Pembo, Makati, very close to BGC, at $20 a night. On the rainy days, time was mainly spent in the malls, grabbing a bite to eat, going to the movies. I bought a pair of shoes. And on nice days, we explored Pembo, Makati, walking around BGC. It was a pretty good mix of eating out and still going to the market to buy food and save money cooking at home. There was an unexpected cost. Having to go to the dentist cost about $100. And at the end of the month, because of those flights, the dental work, and just spending time out and about in the city, the final cost for January was $2,551. The next 4 months was pretty much all the same thing, with the weather looking good. It was a good mix between using Cebu City as a home base and taking off on a different adventure every month. In February, it was Bantayan Island. In March, Camotes Islands and Coron, Palawan. In April, Camigan Island. And in May, Negros Oriental. So for all of these monthly outings and adventures, this is how the expenses broke down. Of course, you're going to have your flights or your ferry tickets. Flights can be really cheap. A lot of the flights that I booked one way were only like $20 or $30, sometimes more than that, depending on how far you're going. Ferry tickets can be anywhere from like $6 up to $20. I rented a scooter almost every time I went to a new place, and scooters are around $7 or $8 per day. Sometimes a little less, sometimes a little more. There's tons of little touristy expenses, usually not that big. You might want to rent some snorkel gear for $4 or $5. There's little entry fees if it's like a private park or a beach or a waterfall, usually between $1 and maybe $4 or $5. Sometimes you'll hire a guide, or even a guide is mandatory depending on the hike in to a waterfall, but that's often maybe $5 or $6. So most of these little touristy expenses are quite low. Sometimes they're a little bit bigger. When I was in Coron, my buddy and I took a private tour out. So it was like a private boat, just him and I. It was $70 for a full day. But that's really not too bad, all things considered. Now, this is the part that is a make or break for your budget. It's your accommodation and your food. You can easily fill up for around $3, give or take, if you're eating Filipino food in the community. But if you're at a touristy area or in the city and eating at a Western restaurant, you're looking at $8, maybe $10. It could even be more than that. Now, accommodations is going to be the biggest thing that impacts your budget without a doubt. I was able to find most places between $20 to $25 work for me. Now, some places were less than that I really liked, and sometimes I splurged and went way beyond that. But in most cases, keeping it in that $20 to $25 range kept my budget from getting out of control. So guys, for the final 4 months of my trip to the Philippines, this is how it broke down. February was Cebu City and Bantayan Island. The grand total was $2,136. In March, it was a little more action-packed, a little bit of time in Cebu City, went to Camotes Islands, and also met my friend out in Coron, Palawan, and the grand total for March was $3,200. In April, it was Cebu City again, and then we took off to Camigan Island, and the grand total was $1,979. And in May, back to Cebu City, and then off to Negros Oriental. Now in May, I did have another unexpected trip to the dentist because it turned out I needed to get a crown replaced, and the total for that crown, if you ever need anything that big of a job, was $400. Shout out to Apple Dental in Ayala Mall. Fantastic dentist. Highly recommend that place if you ever need it. It's just a great place. Apple Dental in Ayala Mall. The grand total for May was $2,393. That makes the average per month for my entire 8-month trip was a little under $2,300 per month. There you have it, guys. I appreciate you watching. I hope that helped out and gave you an idea of what to expect. If you want to support the channel, no obligation at all, but there's some links in the description for things like travel insurance, money transfers, and some other things related to traveling overseas. It's at no extra cost to you, but a little bit of it comes back to me to support the channel, which is greatly appreciated. Other than that, I will be back traveling again soon, so stay tuned. Back in the Philippines in less than a month. I cannot wait. Stay tuned, guys. Thanks for watching.